Hey, it's Dr. Ernst. Guess what I just found out? Parasites can actually be the cause of your elevated blood sugars and elevated A1C. Parasites could be the problem behind your diabetes. And the challenge here, guys, most medical doctors are not educated well enough, nor are they testing for parasites. So listen up. If you have elevated blood sugars, elevated A1C, you've been told you're a diabetic, and you're injecting or swallowing a solution pharmaceutically, and you're wondering, is there a way out of this? It could be a chronic parasitic infection. It could be a toxicity of microplastics. It could be heavy metals and pesticides and herbicides. It could even be subluxation of your spine. To find out how you can get rid of your diabetes, text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. I have a free masterclass Saturday, March 14th. I'll invite you, 704-906-2094. The number again, 704-906-2094. Welcome to Cornerstone Health Center, Charlotte's premier destination for natural healing and regenerative healthcare. If you're tired of chasing symptoms, masking pain, or being told everything looks normal, you've just found a clinic that asks a different question. What's the root cause of your condition? We're an integrated functional and structural clinic offering cutting-edge solutions, everything from precision structural chiropractic care to personalized functional medicine and even advanced nutritional coaching, deep cellular detoxification, and powerful alternative therapies like Hockett ozone sauna, RegenWave therapy, spinal decompression, and PEMF therapies. At Cornerstone Health Center, our mission is clear: to uncover what's holding you back and empower you to become your own doctor. We believe healing doesn't come from a pill, it comes from within. And with the right tools, education, and natural therapies, you can finally take control of your health. Call us today at 704-597-7490 to schedule a complimentary consultation with one of our doctors, or visit us online at cornerstonehealthcenter.com. That's healthctr.com. Your health is a cornerstone. Let's rebuild it together. Hey, my name is Dr. Ernst. I want to introduce you to a revolutionary therapy called Hockett. Hyperthermic, carbonic acid, ozone, transdermal therapy. It combines 10 different holistic and natural therapies in one 30-minute session. Everything from steam to carbonic acid to ozone to PEMF, even microcurrent. The benefit of this, we can target specifically your condition. It could be chronic fatigue. It could be inflammation. It could be joint pain. It could even be fibromyalgia, Lyme's disease, mold toxicity, heavy metal toxicity. With over 100 different settings, we can program this machine specific to your body so you get natural healing from the inside out. Carbonic acid opens the pores of your skin. Ozone then transfers inside. And guys, ozone kills everything. Mold, pathogens, parasites, Lyme's disease. It cleans your blood, bringing you a level of healing that you cannot get anywhere else. The microcurrent will literally zap your body with energy that brings about restoration and rejuvenation by stimulating your mitochondria and opening up your phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathways. If you've been struggling with chronic fatigue, inflammation, joint pains, brain fog, or you have a chronic infection like Lyme or mold or any co-infections, Hockett therapy is exactly what you're looking for. If you're looking for a breakthrough in your health that you cannot find from supplements, procedures, physiotherapies, chiropractic, even traditional medicine, Hockett therapy will provide that for you. Schedule your first session to experience the Hockett difference. Hi, my name is Dr. Ernst, Clinic Director of Cornerstone Health Center. I want to introduce you to RegenWave. This revolutionary technology uses hydroelectric shock to stimulate new blood flow, activate stem cells, and create regeneration. The best part, it can be used on your joints, shoulders, neck, back, hips, feet. Even peripheral neuropathies can improve. The unique thing about RegenWave is this hydroelectric shock wave regenerates mesenchymal stem cells. It activates them so that your bone, ligament, and tendon tissues can actually regenerate. In fact, it even stimulates nerve cells for regeneration. When you use RegenWave, most patients feel changes in as little as 4 to 6 sessions. We're talking activation of regeneration to your joints. If you're looking to regenerate your joints using a non-surgical, non-injective therapy, schedule your consultation. We'll find out if you're a candidate for RegenWave therapy so you can allow your joints to regenerate from the inside out. Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst show. Yes, guys, it's a show where pounds are shed, disease is dead, where you get to be set free from your health problems. Today, we're not only streaming on the airways, but we have YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Guys, 3 unique live streaming cameras. I know you might be driving, I know you might be at your office, but remember, we always video cast every single episode of every single show. Make sure you follow us online. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. You get special updates. Go over to Facebook. Follow the channel at AskDrErnst. It's AskDrErnst. We're starting to give away a ton of free stuff. Free protocols on how to lose weight, to reset your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your sugars, etc. Guys, today, the joy is we know how the human body can heal by itself using functional medicine. And a lot of that can be done in the comfort of your own home. All you need is the protocols. So we're starting to give a lot of stuff away through our social media channels. So take some time, write down Ask Dr. Ernst. That's the handle. It guys also gives you discounts and coupons and credits at a lot of your online favorite stores. So use the codes. And today we're here to explore a subject that I believe is a little controversial and a conversation that is absolutely absent from your conventional healthcare. Your primary doctor is rarely ever going to say, you know, we might want to have a discussion about parasites and your health condition. Yes, we're talking about that strange role of how these critters that can get in your intestines or in your body can actually cause metabolic dysfunction, specifically with the conversation of our current series, diabetes, right? So parasites, the unspoken cause of diabetes. It is a major regulator. Several of you asked this show is because we do listen to our listeners, and one and several actually, like, I don't know, hundreds of you, can you do a show on parasites, please? So I thought, yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about how parasites connect with diabetes, but you can go even deeper, how parasites connect to your health condition, because it's not just one specific thing. It's not just parasites and diabetes. Excuse me for that. It's parasites and everything. So to begin, we need some clarification. Something fundamental about the conversation of diabetes. Number one, please, for the love of God, I beg you, go online, download the Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook, text your name right now. If you or someone you know, love, hang out with is dealing with elevated blood sugars, A1C, etc., download the ebook, send it to them. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're going like, can I get my blood sugars under control? Can I get my A1C back on track? Can I stop injecting the weekly, peptides and all the medications? And yes, you can. Like, you can bounce back from diabetes. You can reduce or eliminate the needs for insulin in type 1 diabetics. You can completely get off the prescriptions for type 2 diabetics, and you get your brain back if you're a type 3 diabetic. And you might be saying to yourself, wait a minute, there's a third type? Like, I just got my mind around type 2. And now you're saying there's type 3? Yes. What is type 3 diabetes? What a great question. I'm so glad you asked. It is uncontrolled type 2 diabetes for so long that we lose our minds, dementia, cognitive declines, lack of good brain function. Type 3 diabetes is insulin resistance of the brain. Type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance of your cells. And type 1 diabetes is you don't produce insulin at all. So diabetes, again, is not just a condition of elevated blood sugar. It's not necessarily just an insulin issue. Glucose regulations are governed by massive systems inside your body. So I want you to hear this. It's not just what you eat. It's how your digestive system's working. Your gut controls your blood sugars. It's how your microbiome is working. Again, the bacteria in your gut, they control your sugars. It's the membranes of your immune system. They're now finding out that you can start spiking antibodies against insulin or antibodies against the receptors. You can actually attack your own cell tissues and cause diabetes. Your liver has a massive role in your blood sugars, massive role. Micronutrients, you might be deficient. You need chromium, you need vanadium, you need copper, you need magnesium. And if your mitochondria are not working efficiently, they don't take sugar and make enough energy out of it, so your body's constantly needing more sugar. So the innate God-created human body, if you have mitochondrial dysfunction, your blood sugar has to be high because you require so much fuel to make that inefficient engine work. And we know the autonomic nervous system is heavily regulated. So I just shared with you, I just gave you sort of the secret of all the different things that could be involved in your diabetes. And last week we talked about toxins and how they can induce type 2 diabetes. So in the mainstream medical model of care, right, they focus on how do we push those numbers down? How do we get your sugar down? How do we get your A1C down? And it's okay. You can do it if you want. But glucose is an output measurement. It's a reference of what's going on internally. So if your sugars are high, it's because your internal systems are really deficient. And parasitic organisms, because again, the topic of today is parasites. It's the parasite problem. It's the fact that if you're listening to me, you probably have parasites in your gut or in your liver or in your lymphatics. Okay, the purpose of today is not to suggest that parasites are the primary cause of all diabetes. That would be inaccurate because, again, we mentioned earlier, it could be toxins, it could be your microbiome, it could be your nervous system, it could be parasites, it could be microplastics. We had that conversation not too long ago. So instead, today, the objective is to explore a simple concept. Parasites may be the reason you can't shake your diabetes. And parasites can interfere with insulin regulation, blood sugar modulation. So it does affect your body. So first, what we're going to do is the tricky part. We're going to define what is a parasite, especially in biological terms, in simple terms, so you can actually understand it. What are parasites? Second, we're going to expose what they do to your body. Third, we're going to analyze where the heck they come from in the first place. How do you get these crawly critters inside of your body? Then we're going to discuss a process of how to correct it. I'm getting a low battery error on one of my cameras. So, hey, if one of you guys breaks the feed, I'll have my team switch it to the other cameras. So just in case it goes, just give it a second. It'll pop right back. Okay, so what are parasites? Well, by definition, a parasite is an organism that derives nutrient or nourishment from the host that it lives on or in. And in human terms, parasites are classified in three main categories, okay? I know this is a tough conversation because it means, there's little critters crawling around inside of you. Hey, look, there's bacteria inside of you. And we're like, yeah, I'm okay with that. There's viruses inside of you. Yep, I'm okay with that. There's parasites inside of you. Nope, I don't want to deal with that. Nope. But yet it's the truth, okay? It exists. So we have protozoa, we have helminths, and we have ectoparasites. Okay, so there's three main classifications. So let's start with this. And again, remember, our conversation for today is educational, it's hopefully inspirational, and it's going to be informative so you can take action and do something about this. Why are we talking about it? Well, in the Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook, we reveal the functional causes of type 1, 2, 3 diabetes. Hey, look, you can grab this now. It's free. Just text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. If you're on our live streams, you're watching the videos, hey, above or below is a link. Just click it. It'll ask for your name, your phone number, email. Boom, ebook is yours. And remember, March 14th, it's a couple weeks away, Diabetes Heal Thyself Masterclass. We currently have over 700 people. Guys, we have weeks to go. 700 people in Charlotte already going, please, I want my diabetes gone. Please teach me how to do it in 90 days. So if that's you, if you want to get rid of insulin and metformin and Octos and Jardiance and Ozempic and Wegovy and just all the insulins and the peptides, just text your name, your email, and the word diabetes to 704-906-2094. Hey, the texts are coming in. That's awesome. Live streamers, man, use the link, okay? So 3 categories of parasites, right? This show is educational and then informative. Protozoa. Protozoa are like little tiny single cellular organisms. They are nanoscopic. That's a good way of saying it. They're so small, you can't really see them with the naked human eye. Metabolically, they're active and they can really reproduce quickly. Protozoas usually hang out in your gut. Okay, so an example of this would be like Giardia or Cryptosporidius, if you're familiar with these terms. Okay, so these are the little tiny guys. And these, I talk about them first because they're the more difficult ones to go after because they can get inside everything. They can attach themselves directly to the epithelium, the thin inner layer of the intestine. And usually once they anchor, they just start sucking nutrients out of your cells. And of course, this attachment is going to interfere with the healthy function of your gut. So the microvilli, the absorptiveness becomes deficient. And so these microscopic parasites will suck the nutrients out of your intestines and you don't get the nutrients. Okay? So here's what happens. There is a protozoa that is associated with something called toxoplasmosis. And this is often discussed in areas of like chronic low-grade infections or altered immune responses. So if you're constantly getting sick and you're constantly having digestive issues, it could be that you have parasites with a toxoplasmosis infection. And, this is a big deal. These guys, these little tiny guys, when you start going after them, what happens is they get attacked. They get attached to the intestinal wall and they develop into what are called cysts. And so if it goes into its cystic state, it's in survival mode. So even if you take an antiparasitic, these little tiny guys are going to go, nope, cystic, and they're going to hide. And then when the antibacterials or the antifungals and the antiparasitics are gone, they turn back into themselves and they start sucking the nutrients out of you. I know, it's gross, right? Okay, number 2, helminths. These are multicellular parasitic worms, technically. These are going to be the ones that you can physically see, like they crawl around, right? Nematodes, roundworms, cestodes, tapeworms, trematodes, flukes. Yes, flukes can hang out in your liver, like a liver fluke. That's a parasite of the liver. Okay? These are usually bigger, so they can, be sometimes visually seen, and they're almost always in the gut to start. But the challenge is, guys, they can start migrating. Like they can move through organs and tissues. It's gross, isn't it? So watch, flukes tend to hang out in the bile, so like in your liver and in your gallbladder and in your intestines. So chronic bile obstruction can influence the bile flows. And so what happens is bile is not just a digestive enzyme, it's a molecule used in regulating your metabolism. Bile acids activate these specific receptors on the cells of the human body that influence glucose metabolism. So if you interfere with bile because of trematodes or flukes that get in the liver and the gallbladder, then it could start to cascade into metabolic disease. Okay, here's another issue. These guys, the roundworms, the tapeworms, the flukes, they can actually invoke an immune response. So here's what we tend to see if this is the case. Your eosinophils start to go up. Your mast cells start to go up. The Th2 cytokine response becomes activated. I'm just yelling out scientific-y stuff, but you can detect these guys through basic blood work. This is what's cool. See, the other ones, the little tiny guys, the protozoas, we can't really see them through blood. They're so small, you can't really detect them. But these guys, they're large enough that your immune system sees them and goes, hey, red alert, parasites are present. So if you have eosinophils high, mast cells high, and you have a lot of Th2 cytokines, it's an indication that there's parasitic involvement. Okay, there's also ectoparasites. These are the things on the outside. They're less directly relevant to glucose and blood sugars, but they illustrate the idea that there is still parasites that can live on the outside of your body. It's gross, isn't it? Okay, so we talked about the main types of parasites. Now here's the next thing. Where the heck do these things come from and how do they get in our body? Well, parasitic infections are almost always related to either something that you got exposed to. Okay, so first, food. This is the big problem, all right? So most of the time, we get parasites in our intestines, in our liver, and in our gallbladder from eating food that has the parasites in it in cystic form. This is very important you understand this, because people will be like, well, I cooked my meat, so the parasites died. Well, some of them can survive heat by becoming cysts. Think of it as like they turn into seeds. And so, for example, pork is known to have lots of parasites in it. I know, like, we live in the South, and I'm going after your bacon, and I'm going after your pulled pork, and I'm going after your ham. But let's just be honest. Parasitic cysts are known to be in higher concentration inside of pork than any other types of meats. Now, the next highest is wild game, and this would hopefully make sense. A deer that got shot could turn into venison, and you could eat it, but also at the same token, it could have been infected with parasites. So pork, number one, wild game, number two, undercooked or raw foods, sushi, fish. I'm sure you guys have seen like the videos of people who go to the grocery stores and they're picking up a piece of salmon and there's like these things crawling around in them. I know it's gross, right? It's just gross to talk about it, but we get parasites by eating them. Listen, it's not just meats. Leafy green vegetables that have been sprayed or contaminated with water can carry the protozoa, the little tiny guys. So I know it's weird to think about this, but like you might get parasites by eating broccoli and, you know, spinach and cabbage and things that are sprayed with water as they're growing, okay? Modern globalized food chains have increased the geographic spread of organisms because sometimes these parasites only exist in certain areas, India or Mexico or China or whatever. But see, we import a lot of food from those countries. So what happens is we eat the parasites from other countries. Okay, so foodborne is by far the biggest. And what are the big guys again? I know, it's pork. And it's like shellfish, raw, right? Oysters and raw shrimp. I don't know if you eat raw shrimp, but you get the idea. Raw seafood, sushi, fish that's raw, pork that is not just undercooked, but pork in general, or wild game meats, you know, boar and venison and, you know, that kind of stuff. Okay, number two, from the drinking water, okay? I hate to say this. Municipal treatment systems often focus mostly on just getting rid of bacteria. And that makes sense, right? We want our water to be clean. But think about this, right? I hate to say it. Our waste, solid waste, can have parasites in it. If you have parasites in your body, there's parasites in your stool. And just, I know, guys, it's just, you got to talk about it for a second. Stool that is flush goes where? Well, it goes into the city system for water cleaning. And yes, they do bacteria really well, and they do all the crud, and they do all the stuff, right? They can clean our water out. Great. But protozoal cysts can usually just get right through the filtering system. So the little tiny guys. Okay, so protozoal cysts. This is what's the reason for what's called cryptosporidius, because those specific little tiny guys, they are chlorine, bromine resistant. So you can't bleach the water hard enough to get rid of some parasites. Recreational waters, right? So like, you know, streams and rivers and creeks can also be a common source of exposure because the parasites physically live in the water. So don't just think, hey, my tap water is fully clean because it's see-through and it's clear. I hate to say it, but Charlotte tap water, your city tap water, man, it's full of stuff. Not just maybe parasites, but heavy metals and pesticides and chemicals. You know, if you're looking to find out how dirty your water really is, go to this website, ewg.org, tap water database, ewg.org, tap water database. You can type in your zip code. It'll show you exactly how clean or dirty your water is because you'll be able to see the contaminants. But it doesn't show parasites. It shows heavy metals and bromines and fluorines and chlorines and hexavalent chromiums. Okay, so today's conversation is geared on the idea of what are parasites, where do they come from, and when we come back from our commercial break coming up, how do we get them out? Like, how do we get them out of our bodies so that we heal? Okay, one way, download the Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook. It has some protocols and information on how to get type 1, type 2, type 3 under control naturally. Text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. I'll send it to you today, and you get access to the masterclass that I'm hosting Saturday, March 14th. Simple, easy, done. Okay, so food can be where they come from. Water that we drink can be where they come from. How about this? Just the sheer fact that they are in the dirt. And if you're a gardener or somebody who hangs outside a lot and you're walking barefoot and you have micro cuts where your gardening is getting underneath your fingernails, parasites are known to be in the soil. Gardening without gloves or contacting contaminated soil, buying soil in bags and doing a lot of plants inside your house, microscopic, little tiny parasites can get underneath your fingernails and then they get into your body. Gross, right? I know, it's gross. Okay, another big one. If you have pets, if you have a dog or a cat or some sort of, like an animal that lives outside for a period of time, even if it just goes outside and comes back inside, pets often carry parasites. Think about it. What do we constantly have to do? We have to deworm our pets. Those are parasites. We have to give them medications to keep them from being so overridden by parasites. And so pets typically have it. How does that get into us then? Well, I hate to say it. Fecal contamination of your yard, and then you're outside walking around, you're picking up their waste, etc. They're licking you, they're being near you. You're snuggling with them. I mean, I don't know. I don't do this, but some people kiss their pets and okay, so parasites are a problem from pets. So if you have a dog or if you have a cat, there's a very high likelihood you may have parasites in your body. And then, of course, just, the fact that when you travel to other countries, you are being exposed to food and water systems and things that you aren't familiar with. This is the classic sort of Montezuma's revenge when you go to Mexico for the first time and you're eating local foods or you're drinking water from their systems. Why? They don't have as good a fecal removal. They don't remove human waste from water as well as we do. Now, if you're down there and you've been adapted to it, not a huge deal, but even a lot of people in those countries, they don't even drink their own tap water. It's always bottled, it's always delivered. So just remember, infection does not always mean that you're going to end up with diabetes or have some sort of oh my gosh, I feel like I have parasites crawling through me. But I just lost one camera, so we're going to switch you guys over, okay? But if you have diabetes, you must ask this question, hey, could parasites be the reason I can't shake my diabetes? The answer is yes. So now we're going to turn over to the big question. How the heck do parasites make me sick? What are they doing physically? How do they cause diabetes? How do I get out the parasites? How do I find out if I have them? We're going to talk about all that in segment 2. Right now, I just wanted to tease you with the idea of, yes, parasites are a problem for your health. Not just diabetes, but you just pick it. Heart disease and parasites, you better believe it. Cancer and parasites, absolutely. What about things like, thyroid problems and prostate issues and weight loss issues? Yeah, parasites are connected, and they're also connected to diabetes. So as we turn now to the central question, by what physiological mechanisms, what on earth are these parasites doing to our body? We're going to answer that when we come back to this commercial break. How do we test to find out if we have them? They're going to come up on the commercial break. Are there symptoms that I would be able to know or see if I have parasites? After the commercial break, how do I get them out of my body? I don't want to have parasites in me. I want to be healthy. I want to be active. I want to be vibrant. I don't want to have diabetes. After the commercial break. So to answer everything responsibly, I need more time than I have before this current break. And so we'll begin that as we come back. Take a moment right now. Text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. I went fast, so I'll slow down a little bit. 704-906-2094. All we need, guys, name, phone, email. That's it. Boom. Ebook is sent straight to you. You can start whittling your blood sugars down super fast. I had a listener text me the other day because they asked for the ebook, and they've already dropped their blood sugar 45 points on their fasting morning waking hours. That's a lot, and that's huge. So 704-906-2094. Text it now. Your name, your email, the word diabetes, and don't forget, this is the Ask Dr. Ernst show. You get to ask some health questions. We get to give you functional answers. If you have a health question you want us to talk about, AskDrErnst.com. Click to contact us. Go to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Message us. We're here to help you. Text us, 704-906-2094. When I come back from this commercial break, how to get the parasites identified, how to get them out, and how to get us healthy. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What if we told you that the health benefits of coffee could actually be increased through conscious roasting, sourcing, and processing? Introducing Purity, a health-conscious coffee company. At Purity, we've brought together a world-class team to analyze every step in the production chain from cherry to cup. We make decisions with only one thing in mind. How can we make the healthiest coffee in the world? Here's our 3-step process. Step 1, we search the world for the highest quality organic green beans that meet our exacting standards. Way less than 1% of coffee worldwide fit our sourcing criteria. Step 2, we test, and test again to create a specific roasting protocol for each harvest that maximizes healthy compounds and minimizes toxins. Step 3, we nitrogen pack our coffee within 48 hours of roasting and deliver to your door every 2 weeks to ensure maximum freshness. The result is the ultimate coffee drinking experience. You'll not only taste the difference in our clean, healthy coffee, with Purity, you'll feel the difference.
Our coffee club members report a bright, alert lift with less jitters than regular coffee and much more gentle on the stomach.
Sign up for Purity today, and you'll never have to worry about your source for healthy coffee again.
Wine is a fermented beverage that has been enjoyed by humanity for over 8,000 years. Our ancestors believed in its magical healing powers. Philosophers turned to it to spur new ideas and encourage lively debate. Wine has been a well-studied part of our history, but recently it's changed. The wines sold today in most stores and restaurants are not the same wines enjoyed by our ancestors. Today, wine is a highly processed, factory-made product filled with toxins and industrial additives. The grapes are farmed with machines and heavy pesticide use, and the marketing is misleading and dishonest. Wines free from this human intervention still exist. They're called natural wines. These wines are a return to the old way of making and enjoying wine. Free from commercial additives, high sugar, and heavy alcohol content, these wines are a beautiful expression of nature. They're also extremely rare. Less than 1% of the world's wines are grown to this standard. They're made in hyper-small quantities by family farmers who work by hand using ancient practices. When you drink them, all of this becomes clear. You'll notice a completely new wine experience. This is the kind of wine that Dry From Wine sources. We search the globe looking for pure natural wines, carefully nurtured by family growers who work with nature, and we take it a step further, sourcing wines that meet our strict criteria for farming, purity, and taste. We only work with organically grown wines, farmed without irrigation and without heavy machinery. Grapes are hand-picked and then fermented using native wild yeast, not the industry standard GMO yeasts. Our wines are pure, lab-tested by an independent enologist for metrics including alcohol and sugar. They also taste extraordinary, bright, fresh, and full of life. They jump out of the glass because they aren't sterilized or heavily processed.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Dr. Ernst show. Hey, did you miss us during that commercial break? I know this is the best part now. We're discussing parasites, the problem that they create, especially for diabetes and also just globally. If you're just joining us at the top part of the hour, we talked about what are parasites. There are three main categories, what kinds of parasites we get exposed to, how we get exposed to them, food, water, soil, pets, travel, and then we lightly discussed how they cause health issues, most specifically organ issues because of the disruption of having the parasites in those organs. So we're continuing the conversation over, can parasites influence gut integrity, the signaling of your immune system, the micronutrients that you absorb, your liver functionality, and as a result of that, could it be why you have diabetes? Because we're in our series on type 2 diabetes, type 3 diabetes, type 1 diabetes. And again, if you're just joining us and you're looking for a way out of diabetes, text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. I've got 3 cameras rolling during the commercial break. We fixed Instagram, so welcome back, Instagrammers. And if you're listening on the airways, welcome. One of the challenges that we have in healthcare today is trying to find out the root cause of your health issue. So if you have diabetes, the white coat medical doctors will say, well, it's your genetics, it's your diet. There's nothing you can do. Must take our pills and use our injections. Functional medicine says, nope. Your diabetes can go away when you find out what was causing it in the first place. Could an acute parasitic infection or a chronic parasitic infection lead to increased blood sugars, A1Cs? Yes, that's the challenge, guys. Parasites can be a problem with diabetes. So if you have dieted and exercised and injected and swallowed, and you can't get your numbers back to normal, perhaps it's parasites. Last week, perhaps it's microplastics. The week before, perhaps it's toxins. So you really must think about identifying the source. We know they break down into 3 main categories of a cause of diabetes. 1, neurological dysregulation. It is its own entity and its own cause. Number 2, leaky gut, permeability issues, and microbiome breakdown. It's its own cause. 3, toxicity, and I've been going through the toxins. Heavy metals, pesticides, ferritin, we did that 2 weeks ago. One version of a toxin. Second version, microplastics, we did that last week. Another version of a toxin. Today, parasites, they are toxic to the human body. So right now, if you're toxic, is it parasites? Is it plastics? Is it heavy metals? Is it glyphosate? Is it ferritin? That's what you really need to find out. So today we're going to continue the conversation about these critters that get inside of us and about what we can do about them and about how we can get them out of us. So let's knock it and go. Don't forget Diabetes Heal Thyself ebook and the masterclass on reversing diabetes, and it's just 90 days. Saturday, March 14th. Text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. Okay, ready? When should we suspect that our health issue is parasitic? So let's start with gastrointestinal problems. Most people that have a parasite of some sort will talk about bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation. Just think of it as like digestive problems. So bowel movements may go back and forth. I'm constipated for a period of time, then I'm not constipated. My stools are changing shape and color and formations. Some people notice undigested food particles in their stool. Like I had a meal and I saw the meal in the toilet in its whole form, in pieces at least, the next time. Some people have mucus and just stuff and, etc. From a mechanistic standpoint, very important here, ready? Parasites disrupt what's called the brush border enzymes of your digestive system. They stop you from being able to absorb certain nutrients. So carbohydrates may not fully get digested in the stomach and the small intestine. So then these carbs get introduced to the bacteria in your colon and they start to ferment. And then we see gas and we see bloating, and then the microbiome imbalance starts to follow up. Okay? Outside of just gastric problems, next it's the symptoms. So chronic fatigue is by far one of the most common symptoms of a parasite. So if you're tired all the time, this is fatigue that isn't relieved by sleep. This is like, I'm brain foggy, I'm forgetful, I feel drunk because I'm so tired. Okay? Chronic immune overactivation. Things like autoimmune diseases, think parasites, think rheumatoid arthritis, think psoriasis, think any version of an autoimmunity, Hashimoto's, right? You might say, well, maybe it's parasites that are the root cause of this. Iron deficient anemia is a massive sign of parasitic involvement. Iron is required for oxygen to be transporting through the mitochondria to make energy. Even mild iron deficiency can cause major metabolic dysfunctions. And why is it parasitic? Because the parasites actually eat iron. So they're sucking the iron out of you, and what develops is a microscopic iron deficient anemia, not always detected on your medical tests, because unfortunately a lot of them will say stuff like, hey, it's low but low normal. So again, if it's functionally out of balance and it's an anemia, we might be thinking parasitic. Dermatological symptoms. This includes rashes, eczema-like patterns. It can be on your scalp, it can be on your neck, it can be in your elbows, it can be on your stomach, it can be on your thighs, it can be on your feet. Anytime you think like, I've got this rash and it's unique, I'm thinking parasites, okay? Joint discomfort is a huge problem, usually because the systemic inflammation that comes as a result of the parasitic infection starts to have the inflammation affect all of your joints. Another one, let's start looking at metabolic indicators. Here we go, ready? Individuals that have parasitic infections often have elevations in triglycerides, cholesterol, sugar, and insulin. There you go. Metabolic syndrome. The significant boost is usually an indication of the involvement behind metabolic dysfunction. So if a medical doctor sees high triglycerides, high cholesterols, and high sugars, they'll say you have diabetes and you have heart disease risks. We have a drug for all of them. So take this for your high sugar, take this for your high cholesterol, take this for your high triglycerides. You walk out with 3 meds deep and not even realizing that those elevations in the numbers are actually symptoms of the underlying possible parasitic infection. You might be seeing liver enzymes elevate, alanine aminotransferase, or aspartame aminotransferase. This is ALT and AST. These can sometimes show elevations. These enzymes often indicate the presence of a fatty liver without looking deeper. Maybe it's a fatty liver, or maybe it's parasites driving the enzymes, which drives the elevations in triglycerides and cholesterols and sugar. C-reactive protein is an inflammatory biomarker. So remember, it can elevate, not always indicating stress in your heart, but indicating just global inflammation within the body. So just to be blunt, if we see high eosinophils, high CRP, high triglycerides, high cholesterol, high blood sugars, in functional medicine, we're thinking, whoo, it sounds like a parasitic involvement of this metabolic syndrome. So rather than just throwing supplements or throwing medications at someone, we now have to ask the question, how do we test for parasites to either rule it in or rule it out? Okay, one of the easiest ways to do this is just with a stool test. Yes, your waste probably has critters inside of it. So we take a little bit of stool, we send it off to a lab, it comes back with a report, and it'll tell us, do you have protozoa? Do you have larger ones? Like what's in there? Is there flukes? Are there tapeworms? Are there roundworms? Are there ropeworms? Or are they microscopic? We get an actual breakdown. Okay, that's one method of it. 2, we can look at urinary organic acids. There are certain biomarkers that will tell us there is a parasite involved if we see certain acids in the urine. Number 3, we run a blood panel just like I told you. high CRP, high eosinophils, high triglycerides, high cholesterol, high blood sugar. That screams parasite involvement. But do you see the conundrum? To your white coat medical doctor, that screams different diagnoses. You're a diabetic, you have high cholesterol, you also have cardiovascular inflammation. Here's 6 pills to suppress your symptoms and never address the underlying infection. Am I saying you have parasites if you have those symptoms? No, I'm saying there's a huge connection. The only way to exclusively know if parasites are your problem is you just have to get a parasitic test. And they're not complicated, guys. How hard is it to collect some stool, send it off to a lab, and have it come back and say you're free of parasites or you're parasitically overrun? It's not difficult. How hard is it to run a basic blood test? I mean, the challenge is you have to know what to look for, but your primary physician is running these panels, but they're not looking at them functionally. So you might already have diagnostic criteria for parasites on your standard medical physical. How would you know again? Write this down. High eosinophils, high CRP, high triglycerides, high cholesterol, LDL, and elevated blood sugars and elevated A1C. If you have all 6 of those, you're screaming parasitic, in my opinion. And how do we fully know? Stool test, easy, at your house, collect it, send it off, wait about 4 days, 6 days, and then the results come back. Okay. What we want to do is now discuss this. What do we do when we have it? Okay? Diagnostic strategies so that we can go away from just symptomatology and stuff like that. Testing for parasites requires, what's a good phrase for this? A merger of a lot of data. You can't just run one specific test and have it be exclusive for parasites. It's all based on the organism. It's based on its life cycle. Is it cystic? Is it growing? I know it's gross, right? Are they shedding? We have to look at all different areas. So like I said, we start with a stool test. And here's why. Traditional parasitic examinations often are needed because these guys are microscopic. So we have to go very, very, very deep into the smallness of how these guys are in your body. Most people, when they get their sample sent out, it'll go to a lab and a technician is going to visually first look to see under microscope, do we see eggs, do we see cysts, or do we actually see the things crawling around? Okay, while this is useful, it is, of course, just by visualization. So sometimes you need to have more than one sample. Maybe there's no critters in your morning excretion, but your afternoon, your evening. So often right now today, they're saying, hey, do a multi-day sample. A little bit of stool in the morning, a little bit of stool in the afternoon, a little bit of stool at night, if you go that frequently, and send these samples off to the lab and have them analyze all of them. So be careful. You might be saying, like, I had a stool test and it came back perfect. I'm free of parasites. Maybe not. So we do a combinational. It's a lot like blood pressure. We don't just read your blood pressure once and say you have high blood pressure. We have to do it 3 or 4 times over 3 or 4 instances to confirm, yes, your blood pressure is high. So morning stool sample, afternoon stool sample, evening stool sample, sent out, and it merges the results together. 3 separate samples on non-consecutive days usually is the best way to do it. Now, there are more advanced techniques today. There's what's known as PCR fragmental assessments. All it means is this. They're looking for the DNA of the parasites in whatever sample you give them. This is great because it goes just beyond looking visually, and now we're actually getting a biochemical assessment. The challenge with PCR is that it can find DNA from non-active infections, so like older dead tissue. So just because a PCR comes back positive doesn't always mean you have parasites. It means at some point you did. Maybe they're active now, maybe they're not. So usually you have to try to do more than one thing. We do a stool and a PCR test. Now we can start looking at blood exams. Okay, so blood antibody testing is a great way to do this. It measures your immune system's awareness of the infection. So for example, elevations in IgG, immunoglobulin G, it's basically a protein in your blood that helps with your immune system. If we have IgG for the parasite, we know that it's been a chronic infection. If we see IgM, so immunoglobulin M, we know it's happening right now. It's like acute. Oh my God, you're in the throes of an actual parasitic infection right now. IgG tells us, oh my gosh, you've had a chronic, long-standing parasitic infection. Okay? Complete blood counts. If I was to zoom in on one marker specifically, it's eosinophils. They are a type of white blood cell that is traditionally involved in parasitic infections. So if you have a parasite in your body and your immune system's aware of it, the white blood cells called eosinophils will start to come up. But here's the challenge with that. Eosinophils aren't just always present because of parasites. This is why you need a clinician or somebody to help you understand this. Food sensitivities and food allergies can also spike eosinophils. So if you're eating a food you're slightly allergic to, I might have an allergy to eggs, but I still can eat eggs. It just makes my mouth itch, but I still eat the eggs because eggs are good for proteins and fats and stuff like that. So if I'm eating a lot of eggs and I'm allergic to eggs, I'll have a slightly higher eosinophil. The same thing, if I eat a lot of wheat or corn or rice or oats and I'm eating things that I'm inflaming my body with, my eosinophils can go up as a result of that as well. But eosinophils specifically go against helminths, which is that second stage of the bigger worms, right? So like roundworms and fluke worms and tapeworms and rope worms. So if we see a huge elevation in IgE, I'm thinking parasites are involved. Again, if we see a lift of CRP, if we see homocysteine high, if we see triglycerides high, if we see cholesterol is high, if we see insulin is high, and we see sugars are high and A1C is high, again, see all of that clumps into what's called metabolic syndrome, or AKA diabetes. But it also could be, it could be all driven by parasites. Okay, so it is important for you guys listening to me to hear this. You can't just run a stool test and say, I was in the clear, no parasites. You can't just run a blood test and say, I was in the clear, no parasites. You have to use it clinically. You have to say, do I have symptoms, which we went over earlier? Do I have some positive tests, which we've discussed? And if all of them are lining up together, there's an extremely high likelihood that parasites are involved in your diabetes or in your heart disease or in your digestive issues, etc. It's important to understand a negative test does not mean you don't have parasites. It has to be strategic rather than individualistic. Okay, here we go. The best part. How do we get rid of them? I'm going to call this structured eradication, a method of saying goodbye. So if you have confirmed elevations in parasites, if you have type 2 diabetes and you're like, you know what, I just think it's parasitic. It does not harm a human being to do an anti-parasitic program, no matter if you have them or not. This is the joy of now this. Every single person could benefit from getting rid of parasites. If parasitic burden is identified and truly present because of multiple tests coming back and everything else, you have to do it specifically in this order. Okay, phase 1 involves modification of the environment within your body. You have to start reducing carbohydrate intake. Parasites use sugar for energy. So if there's a lot of glucose in your intestines, you're going to feed them. So even if you take a bunch of antiparasitics and antifungals, but you're eating a classic moderately high carbohydrate diet, good luck. It's like you're feeding them, you're killing them. You're feeding them, you're killing them. So first we have to stabilize blood sugar instabilities and bring insulin levels down. Second, we have to focus on dietary fibers to start binding and eliminating the crud from your gut. Soluble fibers can help with this. However, fiber tolerance varies amongst each individual. We have to get you going. See, unfortunately, so many of you listening, you might only like release solid waste once a day. That's a problem, unless you're only eating once a day. Some of you, very few, are like, yep, I'm a 2 times a day person, right? So like mornings and evenings or mornings and afternoons. Okay, well, that would mean you're eating 2 meals a day. But listen very clearly, if you eat 3 solid meals per day, you should have 3 bowel movements a day. If you eat 2 meals a day, you should have 2 bowel movements a day, because it means you're moving waste through. So if you eat 3 times a day and you only have 1 bowel movement a day, problem. If you're eating 2 times a day and you only have 1 bowel movement a day, problem. And I'm going to be honest. A lot of patients I work with are like, Dr. Ernst, I'm lucky if I go every 2 or 3 days. Massive problem. So soluble fibers can help you to just get your bowels moving, but it's hard for me to say take this much because it's different for every person. Just take enough to get you where you're going, at least the number of times you eat. So if you eat 2 meals a day, you should go 2 times a day, etc. Hydration also is very, very important. Bowel regularity has a lot to do with how wet your intestines are, and a lot of you are dry, you're just dehydrated. So phase 1 is bring sugars down, bring insulin down. See, I know you're like, wait, but I'm a diabetic. Like I have high sugars anyway. Well, it's because of the parasites. So we start working on your diet, and we start fasting you, and we start restricting carbohydrates, and we start bringing those down. We increase fiber to get you going, and we get you drinking better, higher quality electrolytic waters. Okay? Phase 2 now. So you got to get all that going first, is to use antiparasitic agents. There are botanical compounds that kill parasites. Berberine, just has demonstrated massive activation against getting rid of parasites. And note, berberine is primarily used to help lower blood sugars. You should see a connection with this. I take berberine, Dr. Ernst, and my sugars go down. It's because berberine is a natural antiparasitic. You just proved you more than likely have parasites. Artemisian is also another one. It demonstrates massive antiparasitic properties. Black walnut, another one. Wormwood, another one. Clove extracts, another one. So what you'll often find is antiparasitic programs or supplements will have a combination of all of these things. Berberine, artemisian, black walnut, wormwood, clove. We use a product called Bioterrain Mend. Phenomenal antiparasitic. But if you can't just go take it, you have to do phase 1 first. Okay, so we take a natural antiparasitic. How long am I supposed to take this for, Dr. Ernst? Until your primary symptoms are gone. If you're a type 2 diabetic, keep taking it until your sugars come all the way down and they stabilize and they get into the normal range. If you have psoriasis and plaquing and dermatitis and everything, keep taking it until your rash goes away. And then you can take it low dose on a daily basis to just prevent. Okay, phase 3. So phase 1 was drink more water, eat more fiber, get your sugars down. Phase 2, take a targeted antiparasitic. What do we use in the Ask Dr. Ernst networks? It's called Bioterrain Mend. We have it in our clinics. What if I want to do it on my own, Dr. Ernst? Black walnut, wormwood, artemisian, and berberine. Those are your antiparasitics. Okay, phase 3. I've got to get my gut back on track again. So I got to seal my intestines, because a lot of times what happens is these parasites are in the food, in the water, in the air, in the stuff you're eating and getting exposed to, and they go right through your leaky gut. So we seal your gut to get you better. Glutamine supports the regeneration of your cells. Zinc carnosine helps with mucosal healing. Butyric acids and butyrates will tighten the junction. And of course, probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics, hopefully you know what those are, will help to reestablish the microbiome. So if we repair the intestinal barrier, this helps to prevent you from being reinfected as those parasites climb through your gut. And then phase 4 now, you have to make sure your liver is fully supported both in phase 1 and phase 2 detox. So that's going to be things like glutathione, B vitamins, magnesium, and sulfur-based compounds. So take all of that together, and you now have an understanding of what parasites are. You know how they get into your body. You know what and why they cause health issues. You know how to test for them, and now you know how to get rid of them. And if you need more help with this, Text the word diabetes plus your name and email to 704-906-2094. Ebook is yours. Info is yours. I'm being told I got to get off the airways. We'll see you guys next Saturday. Be blessed.